do not see a mark. Sorry. So this is Sri Vrindavan Dham. Ravi started to ask how they could keep the village people engaged, but Prabhupada cut him off and indicated Loknath Maharaj with the tip of his head. That he will guide you, you do not know. He is from village, he knows. Village or no village, wherever you chant, people will come. That is a fact. Either you chant in Calcutta Maidan or in the village. India is still alive in that sense. We have seen it, we have experienced. Wherever we have chanted, people have come. Loknath said he had heard that thousands of people turned out when Prabhupada visited the small village of Sanand in Gujarat last year, and Prabhupada nodded. Yes, village. If you go out, they will come like anything. Even in the city, we have got experience. In Calcutta, we did Maidan, 30,000 they are coming. They could not understand English, still they are coming simply by Kirtan. Hamsaduta was performing Kirtan, and all the Bengali ladies coming from outside Calcutta by train, and they are praying. Still India is alive. And I was speaking in English mostly. Also in Delhi, still ladies are sitting. He laughed and said, what they will understand English? But Kirtan was so attractive, they sat down only for Kirtan. Loknath observed that nobody outside ISKCON does Kirtan, and Prabhupada shook his head. What do they know what they will do? All rascals, fools. Even some religious organizations are there, Loknath went on, but nobody. They do not know what is religion, Prabhupada said strongly. They have no faith in God. This is their position, all bogus. I say it challenging. They do not know what is God. He asked another visitor, Mr. Gupta, whether people in general know what God is. Mr. Gupta said, he thought they don't. They only respect God out of fear. That's all right, Prabhupada said. That is also good. Artho Artharthi, that is good. But still they do not know what is God. They have simply heard the name of God. There is God. That is good also. Then the rascals who deny the existence of God. So in comparison to them, they are very good. At least they accept there is something as God. God is good, God is kind, God is. But what is God? They have no idea. That's a fact. That they do not know. Either the non-believers or believers, both of them, they have no idea of God. This is the first time perhaps in the world we are introducing, here is God, here is Krishna. So this is a time when, so Srila Prabhupada, he comes in a tradition of spiritual masters, and it's a disciplic succession, right? So there is teacher and there is student. So Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, he was asked by his spiritual master to go to the Western countries to spread the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So he tried, so he was originally from Calcutta, it's a city in West Bengal, India. So he tried his best to establish a society of devotees in India first, but he could not do much. The people of India, they were looking to the Western world, they were trying to imitate. So he tried so much to establish a society of spiritual seekers in India, but nobody took him very seriously. So he tried, actually, so he first met his spiritual master in 1922 in Calcutta, in a place called Bagh Bazaar. And when there is a story that we can all read that his friend took him. He did not want to go because he was thinking, oh, I have seen these saintly people. They're all bogus. They're just, they're cheating people, kind of. So he was saying, I know these sadhus. They used to come to my house. My father would invite them, but I know these people. But his friend told him, no, no, this sadhu is a genuine sadhu. This saint is genuine. So he went, and immediately when he bowed down, he was just rising up his spiritual master. I mean, Srila Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati, the saint, the teacher who was present there, he told him, intelligent people like you should spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in English-speaking countries. And Prabhupada was shocked. He was there for the first time. He did not know this person, but he received this instruction. So, and then we know the history that at that time, India was under the British rule. So, Srila Prabhupada at that time, he was following Gandhi. So he said, we are under the British rule. We should first get rid of this British, and then mm, and then people will, and then we can think of Krishna consciousness. But his Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, Krishna consciousness is too urgent for any material um, adjustments. It's beyond material adjustments. All these politicians, they will come and go, yeah, but Krishna consciousness is too urgent for any political condition. We cannot wait for anything like this. So he was defeated in his argument, but in his heart he was thinking, the message of Lord Chaitanya is in very good hands. He was, and in his heart he accepted this person as his spiritual master. So yeah, and he gave him the instruction to do this in English, and he tried in India, but he could not. The people were not very receptive, and at that time, um, America, it was a rising culture. It was becoming the superpower. People were looking to the American culture, whatever they were doing, rock music or whatever. Um, uh, so people were looking towards this culture. So he thought, let me go to America and let me try and bring some interested people. So he went to the West, and when he became successful, so in 1966, he established an organization um, to educate people on spiritual knowledge. So he established this organization so that it could be organized, because one person can only do as much. It's difficult for one person to do so much, because there are so many people who are in need of spiritual education. So, but when people work together and when there is an organization, then a lot can happen. So that was his aim, and he established the organization and also gave 7 objectives, and one among them was to educate people on the spiritual message as described in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he was successful, so many people became interested, especially the youngsters in 1966, especially those who we now called hippies. Um, they were interested. Many of them, they gave up their bad habits and they started chanting, and they started listening to him. They found him very attractive. Srila Prabhupada was so attractive to these young Westerners. And he brought a few of them to India, and he called them dancing white elephants because they were white and they were dancing. um, so, and people were shocked to see Westerners becoming devotees. And when the Indians, when they saw that their own culture, which they had neglected for so many years, when they saw that people were seriously taking the spiritual culture that was coming originally from India, they took it seriously. So this was uh, one of Srila Prabhupada's strategy to conquer the world, actually. Um, there is something called the pizza effect. So pizza originally is from Italy, right? But it is said that um, it was just a bread and some tomato sauce on top. And people who could not afford, um, let's say, expensive meals, they would just put some tomato sauce on top of bread and they would eat it. But then it went to the US, and the Americans, they designed it in such a way that it became very fancy. And then it came back to Italy, and then the pizza is like a fancy thing now because of the Americans, because they designed. So Srila Prabhupada's this strategy is something like pizza effect, that he gave the same thing but he packaged it, and um, he brought it in a different way, something that people could appreciate, because the Indians during those days, especially now maybe less, but during those days, whatever the Westerners would do, they would follow, especially because India was ruled by the British, and the British, one of their objective was divide and conquer. They could not conquer India just by they could only conquer India when they could create this division, and what they had to do was, in the mentality of the Indians, they had to impose this idea that anything from their own country is rubbish and anything from the West is good. So that was their way to conquer. Actually, they did this not only in India, but everywhere they conquered, they actually did this. They imposed this mentality on the people that anything English is good. So anyway, that's the history. But Srila Prabhupada was so creative in that way. So creative in that way, and thousands of people, when he first brought devotees, thousands of people came to the streets, and they were shocked to see Sankirtan devotees were just dancing in the streets in the main cities of India. So people were shocked to see, and it is said that in I forgot the name of the city. When they first went, there was a festival. The city's mayor declared holiday for 1 week because Srila Prabhupada and his disciples had come. Huh? Surat, yeah, Surat. Yeah, Surat. So people were so happy. They were on the rooftops and showering flowers. So it was really a sight. So especially here in Calcutta and in Delhi, he did these main festivals, very big festivals, where he would give lecture, and he would give lecture in English. And then devotees would just perform Sankirtan, and all the mass of people would just see, and they would. I remember one devotee was telling me initially when he was going to India, the people would come and they would try to rub his skin. This this it was some kind of powder, you know, because they didn't realize how could the Westerners become devotees. They were rubbing the skin. So that's funny. So that's just brief introduction of who Srila Prabhupada is. And he himself gives example that if you want to know the president or if you want to meet the prime minister, then you have to know someone who is very close to him, right? And so devotees like Srila Prabhupada, they are very close to Krishna. And if we take their shelter and if we follow in their footsteps, then we can easily meet Krishna. Otherwise, Krishna is very difficult to understand. It's very difficult to meet. But by the mercy of the devotees, just like if we know someone very close to the president, we can meet the president or the prime minister. Yeah, like for example, if someone is walking their dog in the morning and the person may be frowning, but if we just go and love the dog, the person will be very happy because he will think, oh, this person is very nice to my dog. So similarly, dogs, Krishna loves his devotees like people love their dogs. They're very affectionate. Krishna is very affectionate to the devotees. So when we serve the devotees, when we are friends with devotees, then Krishna is also attracted. So that is one secret why we follow spiritual masters and spiritual teachers, because Krishna is difficult to approach directly, but through the devotees it's a lot easier. Any comments or questions?
Question. Yeah. What you're saying, so book distribution, is it same in the cities or in the villages? I mean, is there anything different? Maybe the villages people, they are, how to say, more pure, maybe. They believe in God more from the childhood. They have something at home, the pictures or something, or they say, oh, yeah, they pray maybe sometimes. But the city people, mostly, they are more atheistic, or what do you think of it?
Yeah, I think you have more experience than me, of course. But yeah, in the village is considered to be in the mode of goodness, and people are naturally more calm. In the city, it's difficult to difficult to difficult to stop and think. People don't have time to stop and think. They're just running mostly. But in the villages, you have, for example, if someone grows their own food, it's very difficult to say that I'm the center of everything. Like, because you see that when you put a seed in the ground, you see that the seed germinates and then it becomes a plant slowly, because of the sun, because of the land, because of water. And you see this magic happen in front of you. And then you can easily recognize that there is some higher power working, and that we as human beings, we are not the center and creator of everything. But in the city, you get your food from the supermarket. If a child thinks that food comes from the fridge, He, he has never seen food growing, and then when asked where does the food come from, he says it comes from the fridge. He doesn't know more than that. But in the village, people know that um, there is nature around them, and then they know that there is higher power, there is the sun, and then people also appreciate that um, a mode of goodness. And when you present that, when you present the books in a way that this is spiritual knowledge, and what we are trying to do is educating people in the fact that we are not the bodies, we are spirit, soul, and when we are more in close with nature, then our real identity is also easier to manifest. Because in the city, all you see is buildings, and people are rushing, and you do not even see the sky. You do not even see the stars. You know, when I was a child, I would go up to the house terrace, and I would just look at the stars, and I would just ask these questions, you know, why are the stars existing? Where do I come from? But you can't see the stars in the city. You know, most of the scientific um, discoveries were made by scientists when they were just sitting and thinking. You know, they were just sitting and they were just watching the stars, and they were just thinking what is out there. So most of the scientific discoveries happened in this way. Yeah, and then they get some inspiration. There is one story that one, I think it was Archimedes. He discovered this Archimedes principle when he was taking shower, when he was on the bathtub, and when he got on the bathtub, he saw that something was floating, and then he just rushed out on the street shouting "Eureka, Eureka!" And but anyway, yeah, village, more time to think, I think. Yeah. So now we read Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, Chapter 6, Text 74. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is the biography of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is an incarnation of Krishna who came 500 years ago. So he is the personality who introduced the process of self-realization for this age, which is this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So he's an important personality because of so many reasons, which we will read in this book as well. But this Chaitanya Charitamrita was written by a devotee, a saint, a spiritual teacher named Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And there are many other similar biographies, but Srila Prabhupada, he gave commentary on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, which we are now reading. Text 74. So this is originally in Bengali. Bengali is the language spoken in West Bengal in India, and this was written around 500 years ago in Bengali. Bhattacharya, you 74? Oh, okay, 76. Sorry. So you can repeat. Is it 76 or 70? Okay, 76. You can repeat after me. Kahena yadi punarapi yoga patadiya samskara kariye uttama sampradaye aniya kahena yadi punarapi yoga patadiya samskara kariye uttama sampradaye aniya kahena yadi punarapi yoga patadiya samskara kariye uttama sampradaye aniya kahena yadi punarapi yoga patadiya samskara kariye uttama sampradaya aniya kahena yadi punarapi yoga patadiya samskara kariye uttama sampradaya aniya
Kahena yadi punarapi yoga patadiya
kahena yadi punarapi yoga patadiya
samskara kariye uttama sampradayaniya
samskara kariye uttama sampradaya aniya. Mataji, would you like to? Kahena yadi punarapi yoga patadiya samskara kariye uttama sampradaya aniya. Translation. Let me do the word for word. Kahena says, yadi, if, punarapi, again, yoga pattadiya, offering him saffron cloth, samskara, reformatory process, kariye, I perform, uttama, first class, sampradaye, to the community, aniya, bringing. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then suggested, if Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would like, I could bring him into a first-class sampradaya by offering him saffron cloth and performing the reformatory process again. Purport. The Bhattacharya wanted to reinstate Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu into the Saraswati Sampradaya because he did not like the lords belonging to the Bharati Sampradaya or Puri Sampradaya. Actually, he did not know the position of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not depend on an inferior or superior sampradaya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead remains in the supreme position in all circumstances. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deva Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desatarine Vancha Kalpataruvesta Kripa Sindhu Eva Chapatitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is one of later on he becomes a devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but initially he is a big teacher in the Brahmavadi school or Mayavad school of thought. So in the Mayavad school of philosophy, basically they say that we are all God, but we have forgotten this. So, and Srila Prabhupada, he gives the example that if we are God, then how come we have forgotten it? Makes sense. So, when you greet the Mayavad school of philosophers, when they greet someone, they say, Om Namo Narayana, meaning they are saying, you are Narayan, I am Narayan. So Narayan is the name of God. So they are saying, nice to meet you, Narayan. So we have two of these main schools of thought in Vedic philosophy. You can divide it into two branches. One is the impersonalist and the other is the personalist. The impersonalists think that the impersonal aspect of God is the topmost. The personalists believe that although there is an impersonal aspect to God, it's complete when you have the personal aspect as well. For example, the king is a person, or let's say the president or the prime minister is a person, but he has so many departments, and because of his existence, all these departments are running. But he is not personally present in all these departments, but his energy or his influence is present there. So in a way we can say that all these departments are, in a way we can say the Prime Minister is present in all these departments through his energy. So that's one aspect of the Prime Minister, that he is present because of his influence, because of his power that he holds. He is present in each and every department. So similarly, God, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is present throughout the universe, in each and every atom, it is said, and through his power of being present everywhere. So that aspect of him being present throughout the material creation, that's the impersonal aspect. So we see this in many religion, that they say that God is present everywhere, right? God is omnipotent, omnipresent. So this is the impersonal aspect of God. And that's true, but that is not the complete understanding. Higher than that is the understanding that God is present in each and every living entity as a friend, as a well-wisher. That is the Paramatma understanding. But the complete understanding is present when we also understand that God is present as a person as well. So that is the complete understanding, and that is what is taught in the Vaishnava school of thought and by our teachers and by even actually Krishna himself. In the Bhagavad Gita, he teaches us that his only the less intelligent thing that when he comes to this material world, then he is under the influence of the material energy. So when he talks in the Bhagavad Gita, he is very much referring to himself as a person. He says things like Man mana bhavamad bhakto madhyajimam namaskuru. He says, offer me fruits, flowers, offer me water, a leaf, but do so with devotion. So you can only offer devotion to a person, you cannot offer devotion to an energy. If I say love this light, how can you love light? You cannot love someone if you do not have relationship. If there is no personality behind the beloved, then how can you love that person? So to love someone, the person must, the beloved that you are loving should be a person. So Krishna clearly says in the Bhagavad Gita, you do everything with devotion. So when you do something with devotion, you cannot offer devotion to energy. You can only offer devotion and love to a person. So Krishna establishes this fact that his form as a person is the highest. But it's not like what we say is a person. So we are all personalities, but we are limited. But Krishna is a personality, but he is unlimited. Right? So in this particular section of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he is initially a teacher in the line of the impersonal philosophy. And he is thinking that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu belongs to a particular, let's say, sect or particular sampradaya in this case, and he wants to say that, okay, this sect is for the sentimentalists. So in those days you would see the Mayavadi sannyasis, they would mostly just engage in reading the literatures, reading the scriptures and analyzing and debating, but they were not engaged in what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was doing. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was chanting and dancing. So the Mayavad philosophers would tell him, you are sentimentalist, why are you doing this? So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was not understanding the position of Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Prabhupada writes here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead remains in the supreme position in all circumstances. Especially in India, we see so many people who claim to be God actually. This is quite bewildering for us to even imagine. How can people just come up and claim that they are God, and the mass of people somehow accept that he is God? It's quite astonishing to see this. Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book that India is a factory house of God. In every nook and corner there are gods being manufactured. So but God is defined as Bhagavan. And Prabhupada, when he says Bhagavan, he actually says the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We do not find this phrase anywhere in the English usage. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is a phrase Prabhupada manufactured. but he was trying to say the definition of Bhagavan in English. So the word Bhagavan comes from Bhaga and Van, which means you are full of 6 opulences: fame, beauty, renunciation, strength, wealth, and knowledge. So a person who is full in all these 6 opulences is called Bhagavan, right? So, and he remains so in all circumstances. It's not like when he accepts it's not that he accepts a material body when he comes to this world. He remains God in all circumstances. There is one nice story where Prabhupada gives the example that one day there was a person who came to see the devotees, and he was just saying, "I'm God." And he was talking with the devotees, and then at one point he wanted to go to the toilet. So he asked, "Where is the toilet?" And the devotees told him, "You're God, you find out." You find out, you know everything. You just from your knowledge, you find out where the toilet is and go yourself. And the person, it becomes intolerable for him, of course, and then he asks, "I have to go, please tell me." And then the devotees tell him, "First you have to tell you are not God." And he says, okay, I'm not God, tell me where the toilet is." So he goes to the toilet and he comes back, and again he says, "I'm God." And then the devotees say, "Just now you said you are not God." And he says, "That was my pastime." So this is, so Prabhupada, he says, if people want to be cheated, there will always be a cheater. So we get what we want actually. If we want to pay the price, we can get the genuine product also. For example, if someone wants to pay the price for the genuine gold, they will get genuine gold. But if someone wants to buy cheap gold, then they can also get cheap gold. I mean fake gold. So it depends on how much you are willing to give. It's not easy to understand. God is not so cheap. Prabhupada says that you have to be willing to sit down and listen and ask questions and research by reading the scriptures. You have to be, and of course, and you have to purify yourself to actually realize and see Krishna. It's not that you can just demand. If God is there, then He should be present in front of me. We cannot demand, because firstly, we do not have the qualification. Even if Krishna came there in front of the door, we will not be able to see or recognize Him, because we don't have the qualification or the purification or the purity to see or know God. And the other thing is, God is not our order follower. We cannot say, if God is present, then He must be here in front of our eyes. He's not our order follower. You can claim that the Prime Minister does not exist, but the Prime Minister doesn't care. The Prime Minister is there existing. There is a Supreme Controller existing. You may accept or not accept. It doesn't really matter. But it's for our own benefit, because we are part and parcel of that Supreme Source. And we can only be happy when we connect with that Supreme Source and have some relationship with that personality. And that is why it's for our own good that we understand who God is, what is His phone number, where does He live, what does He like. We have the definition of God in all the spiritual traditions, in all the religions, that people say God is great, and so many aspects of God are glorified. In the Vedic scripture, we have a lot details of what kind, the kind of dress God is wearing, the kind of what does He do in a particular time of day. For example, it's 8:30 right now. So during this time, what is God doing? That description also is there. He's going out with his coward friends, out from just coming out from the village and going into the forest. So all these descriptions are there, and Krishna specifically comes to this world to give a trailer of what's happening in the spiritual world, so we can actually be attracted to watch the movie. So the movie is there going on eternally in the spiritual world. So Krishna comes to this world and he gives a trailer of what's happening. So basically he wants to attract all the living entities to his eternal pastimes. Srila Prabhupada says Krishna wants to invite us to his eternal dance, because in a way we are all dancing in this material world. We are dancing under our mind, under our senses. We are dancing under the whims of so many different things. We are dancing up and down in the material bodies. But if we give pleasure to Krishna by dancing for his pleasure, then we don't have to come back to this material world in this dance of up and down, going up and down in different material bodies and accepting different bodies, different mental bodies. So God remains the supreme in all circumstances, and we remain subordinate to him in all circumstances. It may be difficult to accept that we are actually small sometimes. It may be difficult to accept that we are actually eternally servant of that Supreme Person, because one of our disease is that we want to become God. That is one of our disease, that we want to become the center of everything. And spiritual life basically is substituting us for Krishna. We are not the center, we keep Krishna in the center. And we serve all the living entities in that knowledge that Krishna is the center. So that is the sum and substance of spiritual life, is removing ourselves from the center and keeping Krishna in the center. And in that way we can achieve real happiness and peacefulness in the world. So I'll just read a few other verses and we can stop. Text 77. Suni Gopinath Mukunda Dune Dukha Haila Gopinathacharya Kichu Kahite Lagila. Gopinath Acharya and Mukunda Datta became very unhappy when they heard this. Gopinath Acharya therefore addressed Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as follows. Text 78. My dear Bhattacharya, you do not know the greatness of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. All the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are found him to the highest degree. So this is important, that we can know the greatness of a person by the symptoms they exhibit. So it is, all the symptoms of God are written down. So they have, so how, for example, they have markings on the soles of the feet and their hands, and at least we know that Krishna is always wearing the Kaustuba gem, right? He has a special kind of necklace called Kaustuba. He is wearing this, and he has a tuft of hair on his chest. So there are different symptoms described of how the Supreme Personality of God looks like. And even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he had all these markings present. So So in this case, Gopinath Acharya, they were saying that all the symptoms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are found in him. So why are you not accepting the greatness of this person? They are asking Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. In the purport, Prabhupada writes, since the Bhattacharya was an impersonalist, he had no idea of absolute truth beyond the impersonal effulgence. So Bhattacharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was an impersonalist and he had no idea of the Supreme Person. However, Gopinath Acharya informed him that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who know the absolute truth know it in three phases as explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. Vadanti tat tattva vidas, tattvam yaj yanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagwan iti sabdate. Those who are in knowledge of the non-dual absolute truth know very clearly what is Brahman, what is Paramatma, and what is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is Sad Aishwarya Purna, complete with 6 opulences. Gopinath Acharya emphasized that all those 6 opulences were completely existing in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So what we just discussed before, the 6 opulences that's present in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the absolute truth can be realized in 3 aspects. Brahman, which is the all-pervading energy that is found in this world. The Paramatma, the localized aspect, the aspect that is present in each and every living entity's heart as a friend, and the Supreme Personality of God, and the personal feature of God. So these 3 ways that you can approach God. And it's okay if someone just is attracted to the impersonal aspect also, but it's not complete. That's the main thing. Because some people, they may find it difficult to accept that the Supreme Person is, the Supreme Absolute Truth is a person. Because people have been let's say, people have been misled by persons in this material world, so they have bad experience with relationship with a person, so it can be difficult to immediately appreciate God as a person, but at least the theoretical knowledge should be there, that the complete understanding is that God can be realized in these 3 aspects, and the person, God as a person, is the topmost of all. Okay, any comments or questions or yeah.
One devotee was traveling in India by train, and he met one Mayavadi. They were talking a few hours, arguing. This Indian Mayavadi proclaimed, I'm God. And the evening became a little fresh, more cold. So after the discussion, it was already night, and devotee had 2 blankets.
Mm-hmm.
And this Mayavadi was without blanket. And this Mayavadi was asking, can you give me one blanket? But you go to why you don't need it. And please give me, please. Okay, please say you're not God. Yes, I'm not God. And God gave him blanket. And sometimes Prabhupada used to say, is God going to dentist? So-called gods visit dentist.
Dentist.
Problem with teeth.
So-called God visits dentist. example of people. They are defective, They have to visit dentist. How can they be God?
У них проблемы с зубами. Они считают, что они боги, у них проблемы с зубами. И идут к зубному.
If you got you have no problems with dental problems.
Yeah.
You can't have.
Thank you. Anyone would like to add a question?
I have a question. According to the text, there is a small detail in the text that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya wanted to attract Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by offering him saffron, brahmachari outfit. What you can say about that? How you can comment?
Where was this again?
It is in the first text.
Ah,
The first one.
first one. So he wanted to attract him by giving him saffron. Okay. Yeah, I think in a way he was thinking that his position was lower than him, and he actually wanted to also teach him, because he was thinking he's just 24 years old and he's a sannyasi, and how can this be, you're just young, you have so much of time, it will be difficult for you to be sannyasi throughout your life. So he was just in a way not ridiculing him, but accepting him as someone junior, and compassionately he was trying to tell him, okay, I'll teach you Vedanta, it will make you a better sannyasi. I'll teach you Vedanta. And I think this is a part of his mood also, that he was offering this cloth and telling him, you can be a better sannyasi by following me, or something like this.
By having this saffron.
Yeah, I think I have not read this, but that's what I think. This was his mood in general. When we first met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was in this mood of telling him that you should study Vedanta, and you should, I can make you a better sannyasi. That was his mood.
Lord Chaitanya was merciful to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He accepted him like father. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was Mayavadi, but he got attraction to Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya, like Krishna and Bhavagrahi Janana, many devotees were angry after this offering. Another sampradaya, like Tapana Mishra, he is Bodhavan. It's not different. Sampradayas, not sampradayas. Krishna is like Vaishya,
Yeah.
Chaitanya from Brahmana family. It doesn't matter. He's transcendental. He up this system, Varnashram system. Many devotees were angry. But Lord Chaitanya said, it's okay. He's actually loved me like son. He tried to protect me, care about me. And after that, Sarvabhauma became so great devotee. Before meeting with Lord Chaitanya, he was very respectful gentleman in Puri. Nice clothes, he was like, he's incarnation of Brihaspati, actually, very scholar. And a lot of people from all India visit Puri to take lesson from him. He was nice, dressed, and using oil, special oil, But after he became devotee, somebody was they were thinking maybe he lost his mind, maybe he's crazy, something like that. not head, like nicely well. Dress also like this and dancing over. Somebody was thinking for someone shadow, which incredible. But he became devotee. He also went to transcendental platform, not scholar and brahmana, this and that, beyond all this material conceptions.
Okay, thank you very much. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.